Hey, what's going on, everybody? Jeff Demers here for the SV Podcast and Sports Media X on the CoachJeffDemers.com website. I thought I would jump on and frustrate the hell out of some Cardinal fans right now. And this is a great segment to do it. So I'm going to tell you basically why the Cardinals should actually wait on a quarterback and go all in 2027. So the Arizona Cardinals should not draft a quarterback in this draft. And I haven't really put together too much as to why. I did the full PR strategy, I should say, for the Cardinals on Friday's show, where I broke down where I believe they're going to go with a corner piece at the number 3, whether it's Reese or Bailey or Mauigoa. And then I think, like most people, because they are in dire need of a quarterback, that they're probably going to jump back into the first round and pick up Ty Simpson. I am not a Ty Simpson fan. I do not believe that you're going to draft a guy in the same round as the guy that completely embarrassed him in the Rose Bowl. Neither here nor there. 67 yards in an important game is not round 1 material to me. Maybe I'm overthinking it. But let me tell you what I have been thinking about. Because there's a lot of haters out there, and I understand the frustration from the Cardinals fan base. Don't get me wrong, right? The team's been around since the late 1920s. They won a championship in 1949. They've been owned by the same damn family the entire time, that being the Bidwells, and they've never won a Super Bowl, ever. And they've been in the Valley going on 40 years here pretty soon. No titles. Same owner. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there. You can listen to that rant back on 2 shows ago. So what am I talking about here? I don't know. All I know is the Arizona Cardinals should not draft a quarterback early in this draft. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to go out and say that I don't think they should take one at all. Everything that we're seeing from the experts, from all the mock drafts, the insider buzz. First off, if experts actually knew what the hell they were talking about, they would not be releasing right now mock draft 8.0. That means they've been wrong 7 times before in their own mind, and they wanted to change stuff up. They don't know. No more than you know, no more than I know. But one thing that I'm sure of is you're not going to draft. You're not going to reach at number 3 just because you feel like you have to. This team is not one quarterback away. You're still, even if you draft your guy, even if you draft Ty Simpson in the first round, you're not going to be better than the Rams next year. Number 1 offense in the entire NFL. You're not going to be better than the 49ers. Because of Ty Simpson, and you're definitely not going to be better than the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. So you're not one quarterback away. So you do not need to rush and use a bunch of picks to move back into the first round to draft this guy. You don't need it. And I know there's a lot of people out there that again, they hate Jacoby Brissett. And honestly, I don't know why. Is he a starter? No, he's a backup. But he's not bad. He's not. Numbers say everything about this guy, right? All the fans are looking at, well, he was 1-11 as a starter. First off, that is the most overused stat in all of sports. Why does the quarterback, one of 22 people, get credit for wins and losses? The quarterback. Despite the fact that the Arizona Cardinals, they had the 29th ranked overall defense in the league last year. But somehow Jacoby Brissett is responsible for that. Let me look. Let's look at the games that he played in. First game, 31-27 loss. Second game, 27-23 loss. Third game, 27-17 loss. Fourth game, 44-22, 41-22, 27-24 in overtime, 20-17, 45-17, 40-20, 26-19, 37-14, 37-20. What I'm getting to is this defense couldn't stop anybody last year. The number one offense in the league last year, led by Matthew Stafford, scored 30 points a game. By that number, Matthew Stafford would have went 5-7 last year with the Cardinals defense on the Rams. 5-7. Does that mean Matthew Stafford sucks at average? He had an offense that averaged 30 points per game, but if he had the Cardinals defense, he would have, in the 12 games that Jacoby played with the Cardinals defense, Matthew Stafford's offense, they would have finished 5-7 in those 12 games. They averaged 30 points a game. Defense allows 44, 41, 45, 40, 37, 37, 31, on and on and on. They would have lost all those games with Matthew Stafford and the Rams offense on the Cardinals because the Cardinals defense sucks, which is why I think they should go for Reese or Bailey, although I am a big fan of Mauigoa. Yeah, him. Because that guy will be a starter in the NFL for the next 10 years regardless of where he goes. But I'm a defensive guy, right? So you've got that. You've got the fact that he threw 23 touchdowns and only 8 interceptions. 3-1, pretty much 3-1, 3, 24. So it's close enough. We'll say 3-1 touchdown to interception ratio, right? So let's look at that. Also, let's look at the fact that with Jacoby Brissett, Trey McBride, who, by the way, is the number one weapon on the Cardinals. I don't know how many teams you know of that were in the playoffs where their number one weapon was their tight end. On the Cardinals, he's the number one weapon. But he still had more yards this year with Jacoby Brissett than he had last year. Oh, by the way, he had more than 5 times the amount of touchdowns with Jacoby Brissett than he did the year before with Kyler Murray. 5 times. In fact, the most touchdowns McBride had in a season with Kyler Murray was 3. Interesting. But he's ass. He sucks. All right? Jacoby, he's terrible, right? Let's look at Michael Wilson. Let's see if Michael Wilson thinks that Jacoby Brissett sucks. Well, he had 78 receptions, which is 31 more than he had in any of his previous couple years. He also had 1,000 yards receiving, which is almost twice as much as any other year with Kyler Murray. But Jacoby Brissett is ass. He had a better average. He had almost twice as many touchdowns than he did with any year with Kyler Murray. But this is all on Jacoby Brissett because he was 1-11 as a starter, which again, that stat, it's terrible. Even looking at the greatest of all time, the guy that gets credit for the most wins ever, Mr. Tom Brady, did you know he's never won a big game? He's never won a Super Bowl with a defense ranked worse than 8th. And that was in Tampa Bay. And then you throw in the fact that he brought 3 or 4 of his closest friends to the team that had the number one offense the year prior. I'm not saying it was really easy for him, but it was set up to be really easy for him. But he gets the wins, right? Forget about the fact that every time they won in New England, they had a top 5 defense, twice, number 1 defense. But the quarterback gets credit for the wins. I'm just saying. Now, with that as my little rant, let me get back to the fact that Jacoby Brissett should be their starting quarterback this season. And I know that's not exciting. But let's be real about what Brissett is. He's steady. He's experienced. He protects the football. and he won't actually lose you games. But the truth of it all, he is a bridge quarterback, which is why I'm saying don't draft this year. Look at next season. You have way more options for next season. And this is where it gets interesting. I don't think the Cardinals are actually thinking about this draft. I think in the back of their minds, they're looking at next season, and they're looking at quarterbacks like Julian Sayin, Dante Moore, Nico Iamaleava, Malachi Nelson, and some guy named Archie Manning who will have another year to improve down in Texas. All of these guys have elite arm talent, high ceilings, franchise quarterback potential. These are the kind of guys you don't have to convince yourself about unless you're just a hater. So let me say this clearly. I would rather, if I was in the Cardinals front office, I would rather build my roster now and go get my quarterback when the class is stronger. Not when I'm going to use multiple picks to move back into the first round to get a guy who basically crumbled at the Rose Bowl and threw for only 67 yards. All just because I want to control the fifth-year option. You can do that next year. You can absolutely do that next year. I don't see it. The roster's not ready. The situation for a starting quarterback, especially a young quarterback, is not right. And Ty Simpson is not going to be the guy. It's just not going to happen. Because you still have a terrible defense. You've got a first-year head coach, which, by the way, that's another thing. You probably heard me rant. Think about this, Cardinals fans. Your head coach and offensive coordinator, the two most important guys on the team, in your opinion, because, again, I'm a defensive guy, have both been fired from the New York Jets in the last 4 years. Also, take into account that your head coach, who was the offensive coordinator of the Rams, was not the play caller for the Rams. Sean McVay was. So I'm not even sure what qualifies this guy as a new head coach for the Cardinals. Now that I think about it. You should think about that too. Also think about the fact that out of 10 teams that needed a head coach this year, he was the 10th coach taken. Doesn't sound like a franchise-changing decision in my mind. And yeah, Bidwell can come out and say, this is the guy we wanted. Well, if this is the guy you wanted, why did you wait until after Kubiak announced that he's choosing the Raiders to say that you picked up LaFleur? Literally the same day. Even though the Rams season ended 2 weeks before the Seahawks. Are you picking up what I'm putting down here? Like, this organization makes terrible decisions, and they're going to make another one if they go get Ty Simpson. I would rather see them pick up an offensive tackle with the number 3 pick, or defense. Defense is needed more. And then trade back in somewhere to pick up Love at running back. That would be a better decision than trading back in and picking up a guy who crumbled in the spotlight and threw for only 67 yards and led his offense down the field for just one field goal. One field goal. That's all they put up on the board. Even with Ty Simpson coming out in recent days talking about they really didn't do anything special. Well, then how are you, supposed first-round draft pick, not good enough to put up more than 3 points against a defense that really didn't do anything special? In your own words. We'll revisit that at another time. But let's look at these quarterbacks. I'm going to give you a reason to wait until next season. Let's look at Julian Sayin, Ohio State. Former 5-star, originally went to Alabama. Elite processor, accuracy, high football IQ. already getting labeled as a pro-style NFL quarterback. He's seen as the safe, polished, future quarterback prospect already. Very similar early buzz to guys like Bryce Young and Caleb Williams, who are doing pretty good right now in terms of IQ and mechanics. If everything develops right and he has a solid season, this is the guy that teams feel comfortable building around. I'm not comfortable building around Ty Simpson. Then you got Dante Moore up in Oregon, who unfortunately, I believe, chose to go back to Oregon so that he would not get drafted by the Jets or the Cardinals. But let's look at this. I mean, if you're a top quarterback and you're drafted early in the first round, you're going to a bad team. He's good enough now. He's got huge arm talent. Again, former 5-star, starting experience, pure tools, arm strength, upside, and the ability to make NFL-level throws. The only concern is his consistency in decision-making, which may be one of the reasons why he said, you know what, I'm not quite ready. And to me, that would be awesome. That says a lot about his character. It says, I need to go back. I need to work on this. Sure. Now, if you go for Dante Moore, you're kind of looking for like a boom or a bust franchise quarterback if he puts it all together. Let's look at Nico over in Tennessee. Elite size, arm, athleticism combo. One of the most physically gifted quarterbacks in all of college football. He's got that prototype NFL body, dual threat ability. This is the kind of quarterback that shoots up boards fast if the production matches the talent. So far, I've named 3 quarterbacks that are already better than Ty Simpson. You got Malachi Nelson up in Boise State, formerly of USC, another former 5-star recruit. Very smooth mechanics, high-level throwing ability, natural passer, very high ceiling if his development clicks. The biggest question is, can he put it all together after transferring? We will see. Then you've got the most popular name out there, Arch Manning, Texas. If he stays on track, he's got the bloodline, he's got the coaching, he's got the development environment, he's NFL ready for processing. He's still developing, though. Limited sample size so far. I'm going to say this again. Limited sample size so far, Cardinals fans, because you're trying to go after a quarterback that's only started 15 college games right now. And again, he was ass at the Rose Bowl. But if he hits, the hype will be absolutely insane in 2027. I think Arch Manning coming to the Cardinals will sell more jerseys than Kyler Murray. If you look at it, every year, 1 to 2 quarterbacks come out of nowhere. You have a breakout SEC starter. You have a transfer portal star. You have a late bloomer with elite traits. The QB you end up wanting in 2027 probably isn't even the top name right now. So the 2027 class already has more upside, more tools, more potential franchise guys compared to forcing a quarterback. And that's what you will be doing if you trade assets, draft picks, to jump back in just to be able to control Ty Simpson's 5th-year option on his rookie quarterback, on his rookie contract. And here's why I'm comfortable waiting. And I know this is a very impatient fan base. You absolutely should be, and you should be yelling and screaming at the tops of your lungs at the guy at the head of the table, Mr. Bidwell, because he just that family has not delivered since 1949. since before the current owner was born. Same family, just keeps getting handed down. They've never proven that they can put together a winning organization. Not even like a business on the side, because the Cardinals are the only thing right now that the Bidwells own, I believe. So I'm comfortable waiting, if they'll wait, because the 2027 quarterback draft class already has more upside than what's sitting there at number 3 this year or anywhere in the first round, in my opinion. Now, these are early projections. These are not guarantees. There is no guarantee, hashtag Kyler Murray, that the guy that you pick in the first round is going to work out for the Cardinals. One playoff appearance for a guy that was heavily hyped up as the guy that's finally going to deliver us a title here in the Valley. You've got development, you've got injuries, you've got transfers. Everything can change, but the ceiling of this group is what has some teams thinking ahead, including the New York Jets, who actually draft in front of the Cardinals at number 2, but they're not going to take quarterback. Probably not until later. They have to have some youth. And that's another thing. I would rather you let Ty Simpson drop to the Jets in the second round than give up dire assets and draft another young quarterback to be the number 3 guy and then draft your starter next season, because you still need depth. And I'm not sure right now, as far as a 1-2, I think the Cardinals have the oldest 1-2 in the NFL. Again, I'm not saying Jacoby Brissett is the future of this team. He's a bridge. But given where you're at, Cardinals fans, you are not one quarterback away from making the playoffs. So why waste it now? Build your foundations. Don't sacrifice draft picks when you have so many freaking holes, especially on the defensive side. 29th ranked defense. How is that's just, I keep going back to the fact that quarterbacks are responsible for wins and losses. One guy out of 22 guys, out of 22 starters, one guy is responsible for it all. I understand the thought process. I have a master's in leadership, Grand Canyon University. Loves up. Leaders take none of the responsibility when things are going great and all of the responsibility when things are going bad. I like that. But in my opinion, the leadership is the head coach. The leadership is the GM. The leadership is the ownership, not the quarterback. So, as I said on my show on Friday, everything that I'm seeing out there says they're going to draft Reese or Bailey or Mauigoa. I'm still messing that name up, I'm pretty sure. And then they're going to try and trade back into the first round to pick up Ty Simpson. I am 1,000,000% against that. If they can pick him up in the late second, early third, sure. But I don't think he's going to be there because the Jets are desperate. And we all know that the Jets also suck at picking quarterbacks. Because they can't develop them. Which is why the current head coach of the Arizona Cardinals was fired as the offensive coordinator of the New York Jets because he couldn't develop a young quarterback. But yet, the first move that you're going to make in his number 1 year is draft in the first round a young quarterback. I can't with this team. Thankfully, and this is what's really going to piss Cardinals fans off. I lived in the Valley for 25 years. Born and raised in the Boston area. So I kind of have an idea what winning organizations should look like. At every level. At every sport. Maybe not college. My favorite team is Boston College. Pretty good at hockey, though. I'll give you that. But none of the teams here resemble anything from the teams in Boston. Anything. And because we have people in charge here that make terrible decisions and do whatever they can to please the fan base to get them to continue to buy tickets. And the fans are screaming for a quarterback this year, and you should not listen to them. You absolutely should not listen to them. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please like and subscribe. We're going for 200 subscribers. We just recently started going back to going live on Fridays for the SV podcast, myself and Marty Tisdale. Every Friday, unless I am covering live for Sports Media X, I will be back in the press box tomorrow to cover the Chicago White Sox series at Chase Field for CoachJeffDemers.com, Sports Media X. You can see all the recaps, the articles for both right now, Arizona Diamondbacks and NASCAR. We cover a lot of NASCAR on our site as well. But we do talk Diamondbacks. We will give you our opinions on every draft pick moving forward for this weekend. On Friday's show, obviously, we'll only be able to talk about who they pick up in the first round, and then I'll go into who I think they should pick up. But if you miss the show because you think I'm a complete idiot, which honestly, I don't blame you. I don't blame you for thinking this way because they are in dire need of a quarterback. I just do not believe with every fabric of my being that Ty Simpson is that dude and that he deserves to be drafted in the first round. There's nothing that he showed at Alabama that says he is a first round talent. If you can get him later on down the road, go ahead. Why not? I just think that there are better options in 2027. Again, like and subscribe. Thank you very much. And go ahead and put all your hate messages down in the comments. I won't delete them. I promise. Maybe. We'll see what happens. All right. Talk to you later.